There we go. Alrighty. So thank you again for those that are joining us from last week to this week. As I mentioned last week, we are doing a 4-part social media series training over this summer, just to kind of refresh our skills on some things or to introduce new ideas to people that are just getting started or are taking on social media as a new responsibility for their department this year. And so my name is Cara Lara. I'm the social media marketing manager with University Marketing and Communications. I know there are a few other team members on the call with me today. We have Alex Garrido, who is the Director of Digital Marketing and Analytics, as well as Christopher Cabello, who is the Digital Engagement Coordinator with our social media team. So he creates a lot of our amazing video content that you see on our page for UTRGV, for the mascot, and we also work closely with the UTRGV street team. So that is just a quick intro about who is on the call and who may be chiming in from time to time, or who you could reach out to in regards to social media throughout the year. But today's presentation is going to be about Meta Business Suite. And this is an interface that is free, and it is available to you to use to manage your Facebook and your Instagram in one place. This may be a refresher for some of you, or something new that you guys are just getting started with. But we're going to walk through the different features that it has and how you can leverage this for your department. So everybody should be able to see my screen, correct? The presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Don't want to be going and not showing you my screen. But okay, we'll go ahead and jump in. So like I said, Meta Business Suite, this is a interface that connects both your Facebook and your Instagram page in one place so that you can manage it from one central standpoint. And so the 3 main features that I'm going to be going over with you today are the post scheduling and cross posting feature. So this is a place for you to schedule all of your posts, your reels. You can even post stories through Meta Business Suite. And you can also see this all of the content that you schedule, you can see it in a calendar view. So if you're a visual person like me, you are able to zoom out and see, okay, what do we have going on this week? What do we have for the month if you're scheduling that far in advance? And you're able to schedule all of your content for both Facebook and Instagram in this place. You can use the same content or you can modify between platforms in this one interface like I mentioned. There's also the unified inbox. So again, all of your messages are going into one inbox for both Facebook and Instagram, as well as all of your notifications. So your comments, any mentions that you get tagged in, anybody that likes your post, all of it is going to get funneled into one place. That way you're not having to jump from Facebook to Instagram and trying to keep tabs of all the notifications in 2 separate places. You can do it all in one place. And then lastly, Meta Business Suite offers insights and analytics on, again, your content from both platforms and tells you how many people you're reaching, how many people are seeing your content, how many people are interacting with your content, how much growth your page has seen, and you can also identify the top performing content that you're producing and using that as information to inform your strategy moving forward. So these are the main features that we're going to be discussing today. Okay, so first things first, how do we get to Meta Business Suite? I think, we all know how to get to Facebook. We all know how to get to Instagram, but what is Meta Business Suite? And so there's 2 ways to access it. You can access it through your desktop or through the mobile app. Today, I'll be walking you primarily through the desktop, but I highly recommend having the app as well as using it on desktop. I think desktop is great Obviously, when you're in the office and you have a bigger screen and you can really navigate the platform in your office. But the mobile app is super, super handy when you're on the go. Maybe you need to pull up some metrics from a post. Maybe you're in a meeting and you want to talk about the performance of a post that you guys did. Having the app accessible is really handy in those scenarios. Or if you're just away from your computer and maybe you're at an event and people are messaging you because they have questions about the event, having the app handy will help you keep track of some of those incoming messages or comments that you might get. So I'm going to jump over into the actual platform so that we can go kind of through what it has to offer. So this is what Meta Business Suite looks like. And there's a few ways to get here on your desktop. So the first way would be just to input this URL that I have at the top, business.facebook.com, and it should bring you in to your business page. The way you'll be able to tell is if this icon on the left is your departmental icon. You'll also see it right here to make sure that you're in the business page of your department. So that's one way. You just type in business.facebook.com and it'll bring you here to your dashboard. Another way that you might opt to get there or might find your way is if you just type in Facebook, if you just go to facebook.com, this is your kind of your home feed or your news feed. You want to make sure again that you're in the right page. So at the top right corner, you'll see that this is our UTRGV page. You'll see it again on the left. So if for whatever reason you might be in another page, it's not letting me click. If you're in another page, you'll just switch over by clicking this little down arrow and going into your departmental page. From there, you'll see, let's see, from there on the left, you'll be able to toggle down. For some reason, my computer's like freezing, but you'll see a Meta Business Suite icon on the left. So let me just refresh it and see if it'll pop up. Nope. Okay, well, either way, again, if you go just to your newsfeed, look for the Meta Business Suite icon, and that's what you want to click. So you can access it from going straight to Facebook and just searching for Meta Business Suite icon, or like I mentioned, just type in this URL, business.facebook.com, and it'll bring you here to this dashboard. So I'm going to close this one for now. Once you're here on your dashboard, you'll see, okay, you have both your Facebook here and your Instagram connected. If your Instagram is not connected, this is going to look like faded or gray. It's not going to be in full color. And it'll usually prompt you right here to connect Instagram. And so you'll simply just click connect Instagram, and then you'll sign in with your departmental Instagram username and password. Once you type in the username and password, it should connect, and you would just refresh the page, and then you should see both your Facebook and Instagram connected. You'll also see our Facebook followers. You'll see the Instagram followers here at the top. You'll be able to create a post directly off of the home page. There's also a to-do list that Facebook or Meta Business Suite will provide you from time to time. Right now, we don't have anything, but usually this will be any unread messages, any comments, or things that require your attention. So this will just kind of give you an overview of some quick action items that maybe you haven't seen or have not attended to yet. There's also this weekly plan. These are just recommendations that, again, Meta Business Suite offers. It doesn't mean by any means you have to do them, but they give you ideas on like, okay, are we doing these things? Can we possibly do them? And ultimately, they just help your exposure and your page reach more people. So, for example, here, of course, it wants us to publish an ad because if we place an ad, that means we're spending money with Facebook. But we're not going to do that today. It says, publish 20 stories on Instagram. So right now we're at 18 out of 20 for, I think this is like a weekly plan that it's provided. It's recommending to publish 5 posts on Facebook. So we're at 3 out of 5. Again, these are just recommendations. At the end of the day, whatever is the recipe that is going to work for your department is what I recommend you stick to. But that's what this weekly plan is. They're just recommendations from Facebook. If you click see full plan, it'll just provide some more information. It'll tell you, if you do this, if you do 20 stories, you'll reach this many people. If you do 5 posts, you'll reach anywhere from 39 to 137,000 people. So just some recommendations if you are looking for ideas to grow your reach. We can skip past creators because doesn't really apply to us. This as well, this is more for if you have a budget to run ads. And then down here, you'll see your planner. This is all of the content that either you have already posted or you have scheduled. And you can click here to see planner, which we'll jump to in a little bit. But this is, again, right here, your homepage. It's just a high-level overview of everything that your dashboard has available to you. So that's just the homepage. From there, we can jump into notifications on the left. So if we want to take a deeper dive into our notifications, they're going to be all right here. And at the top, you can filter if you want to just see your Instagram notifications. Maybe we just want to isolate our Facebook notifications. Again, these are going to be comments. These are going to be likes, mentions, shares. All the interactions that people are taking with our page will populate here. So you can filter them by platform, Facebook or Instagram, or you can look at all the comments from both platforms in one place. Once you've gone through them all, you are welcome to click mark all as read. That way they won't keep resurfacing and you'll know that, okay, I've acknowledged them, I've seen them. If I needed to take action, I've already done so. But this is how you can keep track of all your notifications in one place. Similarly, we have the inbox. And from here, again, we can look at all the messages. We could look at just our Facebook messages or our Instagram messages. And you can also look at your Facebook comments or your Instagram comments here all in one place as well. So I recommend having this tab open during the workday. That way you can glance over it and see, has anything new come through? Is there anything that needs my attention? But the last thing you want to do is let all of these notifications pile up and not respond or provide acknowledgement to your audience. And so some of the tips that we can do with Facebook, and I apologize, my computer seems to be lagging. So one of the tips that I recommend in managing your inbox is down here at the bottom. You can create some saved responses. And so these would be responses that you may provide time and time again. People may ask questions, the same questions over and over again to you. And so you can create saved replies. That way you could just click it and it'll automatically send that message so that you don't have to type it out every time. And so, for example, this event check-in, there was an event that required, specific check-in location, and people were asking, where do I go? Where do I show up? And so we had this response ready to go so that when people would ask us, we would just hit this and it would get sent. So the response was, thank you for reaching out. Check-in will be at Salon Casia. Students can park in lot A1. So again, having these ready to go responses for those questions that you guys may get on a regular basis, you would basically just put add new. You can give it a title and the message and then hit save. And you would find that here where there's like the little three dots, and you can just click whichever reply you want to use in this particular case. So that's for saved replies. Again, commonly needed responses. I know last week we spoke about automations, and so I'm going to show you how to set up an automatic reply. And this is really important because, again, I know we're all doing a million things all day long, so we may not be right on top of our phones, or even if we have Meta Business Suite open, we may not be able to respond as quickly as we'd like. So setting up an automated message lets the user know that their message has been received, they've been acknowledged, and perhaps you'll provide them with a separate contact or let them know that you'll get back to them as soon as you're able to. So in case you missed it, I clicked the little button. Let me go back. I clicked this little button. I don't know what you would call this, like a nucleus or something, an atom. I don't know. So it says automations, and then it brings you here. So you would click create automation, and there's a couple different options that it will suggest to you. There is these two that I would recommend considering. So there is this one, the instant reply, which is the one we currently have set up as UTRGV. So anytime anybody messages us, they get an automatic reply from us. Since again, we may not be immediately able to respond to them, we want to make sure that we provide them with a response right away. And so you would select instant reply on. You want to click whichever platform you want it to go to, Facebook and Instagram. In this case, you can select both, or if you want to modify between the two, you can as well. And then you would input your message. So for us, we put thank you for contact. Well, first we stated that this is an automated message. We recommend doing this as well because sometimes the user doesn't recognize that this is an auto reply and they think somebody is on the other side ready to continue going back and forth with them in that moment. So perhaps stating this is an automated message. Thank you for contacting us. If this is an emergency, please call 911 immediately. For urgent campus-related matters, contact UTRGV Campus Police at, and then we included the contact info. You can also reach the social media team via email at socialmedia@utrgv.edu. And then for a list of campus resources, please visit, and then we included a URL. This is a pretty lengthy one, simply because I think we do need to be a little bit all-encompassing because we get a variety of inquiries, a variety of needs that come through our inbox. But perhaps your department can be a little bit more specific with maybe your website, hours, and additional contact information like an email. Is also super helpful. But this is just a sample of what we have as an automated response. Just because the automated response goes through doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to answer their question after you have, the ability to do so. And that's why the unified inbox is helpful for that. But again, this is kind of just that extra layer of protection, extra layer of customer service that we encourage you to have instead of just ignoring your messages, ignoring things. It's never really a good look. So that's instant reply. We also have the away message. And so this one is a little bit more customizable. Say you only want the user to receive your auto reply during certain days or certain times. So for example, maybe you only want to have an auto reply set for after 5 o'clock and on the weekends because you're not going to be responding at those times perhaps. So you can set up the days that you prefer and then the times that you prefer. So we don't have this one enabled, but it just looks like it's drafted that our available time frame is between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. And then our unavailable times would be outside of that and they would get an automated message. So that's an alternative if you want to be a little bit more real time in your responses and then only turn this on when you're definitely not going to be available. That's also an option. So these are the two that I'm going to focus on and that I would recommend. You can dive into some of these other ones and see if they are a good fit for you. But I would recommend starting with one of these two. And if for whatever reason you guys have any issues in setting this up or you need maybe some input on what the message could say, feel free to reach out to us and we can work on something together. So I'm going to go back to the inbox where we were. One other, I guess, tip that I'll share with you guys is the messaging insights. This is something that you may want to keep track of. Is your daily responsiveness, seeing what your response rate looks like and just aiming to always improve and making sure that that number increases over time. And so I believe Facebook will label your page as highly responsive if you're at a 90%. So that's like a very responsive page. Of course, again, I understand that we have several things to do, but this is always helpful to look at to see, are we at least increasing our responsiveness over time? If we're going from never replying to replying more often, that's a step in the right direction. Okay, so again, just a quick overview of messages. The inbox button is here. You can look at your Facebook messages, your Instagram messages, or all messages. You can also isolate your Facebook comments and your Instagram comments, and you can even reply directly here for these comments as well. Instead of having to go to the post, it pulls the post in here for you.
When I was in high school, I enjoyed marching band so much that when I heard the university was making one.
Sorry, the video started playing. I don't know if you guys could hear it, but you're able to reply directly here. Okay, so that's inbox. Let's see what else we can go over. The other part that I think is super helpful is going to be content. But before I move on, I just want to stop right there and see if there's any questions so far that I can help answer regarding inbox, automations, saved replies, or the dashboard. Okay. Okay, good question from Carlos. One of the questions is, what are the best practices for negative comments? So that is a good question. It's definitely a tricky one. I know maybe our natural inclination is to delete them, but do not delete them. Do not delete negative comments because since we are a public state institution, we cannot censor the freedom of speech. So if people want to express that they are uncomfortable, that they're upset, that they don't agree, that they don't like something, we have to let them express their opinion. However, if it is malicious, derogatory, if it is very ugly in nature, if it violates any of Facebook's conduct rules, you can hide it. And that way it keeps it only to the commenter and you, and maybe anybody else has seen it, but it won't allow new people to see that comment. And yes, spam. If it's clearly a fake account that is not a real person and is spamming or putting like fake links and stuff like that, you can delete those because those are not real. Um, but if somebody is not content with our service or not content with our brand, leave the comment there. But I do recommend responding with some sort of acknowledgement saying, I thank you for reaching out. We're sorry that you had this experience. Please reach us at, provide an email, phone number, so that we can better assist you. The last thing we want to do is leave these complaints unattended to, because not only does the user now feel like they're not being seen or heard, but other people that see that comment unattended to now are associating our lack of customer service with that experience as well. So we want to acknowledge that they're frustrated. We want to take that conversation offline, and point them to a different communication channel, whether that be an email or whether that be a phone number. But you don't want to keep going back and forth in the comments with anybody. Once you provide that additional communication line, your work is pretty much done at that point. You've offered a solution to continue the conversation elsewhere. Whether or not they take you up on that offer is up to them, but you have acknowledged their frustration. You have offered an alternative solution, in continuing the conversation. And usually, people just want to be heard. They want a place to vent. They want a place to just let it out. And oftentimes that's going to be on social media. So, um, if there is a solution you can provide, if there is a conversation that can be had about the complaint or about the negative comment, I would encourage taking it offline. But just the nature of social media, there are going to be those comments that make their way to our pages that we really can't go one way or the other with them. I know one that we get a lot is about our mascot, or about changing university names and changing the brand. Sometimes we'll get like little digs about that from time to time, but there's really not a whole lot that we can do. They just kind of want to be, they just want to be heard. And so, like I said, just use your best judgment and offer that alternative communication line would be my best recommendation. So good question. I will note that the social media handbook that was shared recently, you all should have received it in my email earlier today that I sent out. There are some sample responses that you could use in situations of either a complaint, and stuff like that. So you might want to look into the crisis communication section within that handbook. Okay, so we'll continue looking at Meta Business Suite. So we've already gone over the homepage, we've gone over notifications, we've gone over the inbox. Now we're going to go over content. And this is where you can schedule your content, or you can view what has already been published. So when you click content, say you want to come and you want to schedule some content. So you would just click create post, and it's going to bring you here. And so you can decide whether you want to post just to Facebook, if you want to post to both Facebook and Instagram, and you can even publish to groups that you are a part of. So you may want to automatically share it in the UTRGV students Facebook group, which is a great place to increase your visibility. Um, I guess a lot of our younger students, 18 to 25, their Facebook habits aren't necessarily to follow specific pages. It's more to get connected in communities. So groups, messaging groups, things like that, they're more likely to be there. So a lot of the students that you may be trying to reach are actually in this Facebook group. So you may opt to select posting it in there as well. But let's just go through kind of what this would look like. So we'll click add a photo or video. So I'm gonna go to, let's see. I'm gonna actually go with a video. And I'm gonna select it for both Facebook and Instagram. And so here is where you will put your caption. So for now, I'll just put join marching band. You can choose a cover image here. Let's see, maybe this one, or you can upload your own cover image if you would like as well. Let's see. And so you can also customize if you want it to be different between Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook requires a video title while Instagram doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and customize it. That way Facebook does get the title. Otherwise, it's just going to pull in whatever the caption is. So for the title, I will say, let's see, be the first on the field. And actually, I'm going to switch these. And then for Instagram, I'll just put join the UTRGV marching band. Okay. You can add emojis if you want to. Let's see. Okay, it's not working with me, but and then it'll give you the preview here. And let's see what it looks like on Instagram. So here's the preview. And then you would just go next. I'm not going to add any audio since it already has its own. And I'm going to click schedule. So we'll just pretend to schedule it in a week from now. You can also save it. Oh, you can't save it as a draft. Okay, you can schedule it. I'm going to schedule it from a week from now and we'll just hit schedule. So now my post has been scheduled, or my reel, and it'll pop up here on your planner. This is the calendar that I was talking about. So let's see if I can zoom out. So I'm going to go from the week view to the month view. And this is, so I put it from a week from now. So here it is on the 24th. Everything else that you're seeing, this is content that has already been published either on stories or on our feed. But here it is. Here's the post. If I need to make any edits to it, I can just click it and make edits. I can also move it to drafts in case anybody needs to come and review it, you can save it as a draft and it'll still show here, but it'll be as a draft. So let's go back to content. And I'm just going to do one more. So again, you would add the photo or video. You can add the caption. You can customize it between platforms if you need to. Another reason to customize between both Facebook and Instagram is because Facebook allows you to put links that you can actually click, whereas Instagram, you're not able to click links from the caption. So it's not typically best practice to include URLs on the caption for Instagram unless it's a super short one that people can easily remember and type in later. But you may send them to click the link in your bio or visit our Instagram story where you can actually include a clickable link. And sometimes Facebook lends itself to longer copy, whereas Instagram, you may want to keep it a little bit shorter. I think it also just depends on your audience. You may have a little bit of a younger audience on Instagram, whereas on Facebook, maybe it's a little bit older, so you want to mix up the tone of the caption if you'd like. So again, you can select both platforms, maybe just one platform. You can include the group if you want to. Um, I'm going to do one more, but I'm going to do it with a picture. And for now, I'll just click this one. This is a graphic from last year, but I want to show you the preview again. So this is the Facebook preview. There is the Instagram preview, so you can see how it's going to look. And you can even check how it's going to look on mobile versus desktop. So sometimes things can look a little bit different, whether you're looking at it on your phone or on desktop. Particularly when you're writing out the captions, you might want to see how they look. So just switching between, mobile or desktop, Facebook, Instagram, this gives you just a good visual. Okay, this is how it's going to look. Or just to make sure that none of the imagery gets cropped off. You can also restrict your audience if you need to. Typically, and you want anybody to see it, but for whatever reason, if you want to restrict it to a certain age demographic, you're also able to click restrict here. And that's how you would schedule some content. I'm going to discard these changes. And then again, if you want to see everything you have scheduled, you can click on it. You can click on it here. You can look at your drafts here as well. And then this would be all of your content that has already been published. So the planner that I just showed you is here. If it's not showing up automatically, sorry, on the left, just hit all tools and then click planner. But the planner is your calendar view of everything. If you want to have that visual, it's going to be your planner. And you even have the ability to create posts directly from here. So you can create the post from your planner. You can create it from the content tab, or I believe even the home tab had that create post option. But this is where you'll see everything that has been posted in a bird's eye view. Any questions about scheduling content? And you can do this, you can schedule for posts, you can schedule reels, you can even schedule Instagram stories. And this is helpful particularly for promotional type of things that are coming up. So maybe like event flyers or again, that promotional type of stuff that you just need to get layered in there. Scheduling it is very helpful for that. And honestly, I do recommend using stories for promotional purposes. You can go pretty heavy on stories, but on your feed, it can kind of get the user a little bit fatigued. So I do encourage you to take advantage of Instagram and Facebook stories for all of your event flyers, promotions. That's the place to really just like push them as much as possible. But any questions about content or scheduling? Okay, if there's no questions on that, then we'll jump into insights. And this is the fun part. um, so insights is going to tell you about your audience. It's going to tell you about the performance of your posts. And these are the indicators that are going to tell you whether or not your content is being successful or not. And so again, similar to the home tab, there's just a general overview of, I believe this is like the last 28 days, more or less. And so it tells you how many views you've received, how much reach you've had, how many interactions, and how many follows you have gained. And so views, this isn't just for videos. This is basically like impressions. This is how many times people have seen your content. So maybe I've seen your content 5 times. That's going to count as 5 views. The reach is how many people have seen your content. So while maybe I've seen your content 5 times, I am only one person. So I'm only going to count as one person that you reached. Interactions, this is how many, the interactions are comments, likes, shares, saves, any type of interaction that somebody takes with your post. That's what this number is. And this is a very, very important number because it means it created some kind of feeling in your audience that they clicked on it. They did something. They didn't just scan over it. They didn't just see it. They took some sort of action. Again, whether this was a like, a comment, a share, there was some sort of interaction, and that is a very valuable metric on social media. And then there is your followers. This tells you how much your page has grown in this particular period of time. And again, this is something that is also pretty important because if you're not growing your page and you're making all this great content, but nobody's seeing it, then those efforts are being lost. So you want to actively be growing your page to the best of your ability. And then here is some of the recent content. But this is just, again, an overview, bird's eye view, and we can dive in a little bit deeper. And so for that, I'll actually start with audience. This is actually a great place to start if you've never dived into your analytics and you don't really even know who's following you. This is a great place to start. So you'll click on audience, and right here, you'll be able to switch between Facebook and Instagram. For now, we'll look at Facebook, but this is going to tell you your demographics. So the majority of our Facebook audience is 25 to 34, followed by 35 to 44 and 45 to 54. These two age groups are pretty close. But our biggest audience is 25 to 34. So that tells us that is maybe our grad students, our young alumni. Our 18 to 24 is actually pretty small. And so this is telling us they're really not using Facebook as much as maybe they used to. I know when I was in college, this number probably would have been bigger because I was using Facebook. But now I fall in this number. I fall in this age group. So this tells us, okay, where are our students or where is our target audience? It also has the breakdown of the cities, which is pretty, it makes sense. Brownsville, McAllen, Edinburgh, this makes sense for us as well. And then majority US and Mexico as well. So again, biggest audience on Facebook for us, 25 to 34. Let's see how it varies for Instagram. Okay, Instagram. Very different picture here on Instagram. So our biggest audience on Instagram is 18 to 24. So that's where our students are at on Instagram. But 25 to 34 is also pretty strong for us on Instagram. So that also tells us, okay, our young alumni, our recent grads, they're also there on Instagram. Young professionals on Instagram. And 35 all the way to 54, not too low, honestly. Um, so it just gives us a better understanding of the breakdown of our audience. It also tells us the ratio of women to men. So our audience is pretty heavily skewed towards our female audience, which tells us we have an opportunity to engage with our male audience or to grow that a little bit further. And it's something that we try to keep in the back of our minds. Okay, how can we engage our male audience a little bit more? Um, and so, again, I would start with insights, audience, and then take a look at your demographics and try to figure out what does this say um, about our audience. Like I said, young alumni, college student, maybe young professional. Understanding who is following you is gonna help you understand whether or not your content is gonna resonate with them or not. So audience, and then we can talk about. Let's see. We'll go to we'll go to results. So this is the kind of the same stuff that I was showing you on that overview, but what's cool about the results part is that you can customize the time frame to whatever you want to measure. So if you want to just look at the last week, or if you want to look at it from maybe the last month, you can isolate that time frame. Or perhaps you want to look at the entire year. How was your performance for the entire year? And this is calendar year. So if you want to do fiscal year, you might have to type it in. Um, you might have to click custom and then click in the actual dates, date frame. So we'll just leave it at calendar year. But again, it tells you how many people, how many impressions, how many people, how many times your content was shown, how many people saw your content, how many interactions were taken with your content, how many link clicks people clicked on your content, visits to your website. Again, if your website is, or sorry, profile, how many people saw your content and came to your profile is what visits are. And then followers. And so right here, what we're looking at is for Instagram, but you can also switch it over to Facebook and again, see how that compares. So what I recommend doing is looking at these numbers on a monthly basis at minimum and try to understand what your baseline is. What is that baseline number and how much do we want to increase those numbers? It doesn't have to be a drastic increase. You can increase it little by little, but taking a look and at these numbers are going to tell you um, how your content or how your social media strategy is performing. So again, that would be under results. You can modify the time frame. You can update the Facebook or Instagram platform, and you can look at these numbers. So all of these numbers are great. I think reach is a really good one. This tells you how many people were exposed to your brand. Interactions is also really important because again, that means your content provided some sort of value to them. And then of course, your growth. You want to make sure that you're growing. Any questions? If not, I believe we'll just jump over into overview. Um, So this is a more of, again, a snapshot view. You can modify the time frame here. Maybe you want to just look at how your reels are performing or your videos. Maybe you want to isolate those metrics and kind of compare the performance of your reels to the performance of your posts. You can isolate them by the type of content as well. And so you're able to toggle over the types of content and see, again, the impressions and the interactions over a certain period of time. Again, you determine how frequently you want to measure and understand what that baseline is and how you want to move up from there. The one other way you can look at some of these analytics is that content section, which we were just looking at a little bit earlier. But instead of looking at it for the content, we're going to look at it for the analytics. And the way we'll do that is by assigning the columns that we want. So we can leave the title, the type, we'll leave views, reach. I'm just going to leave interactions since all of these other things are basically interactions. Okay, so we'll go ahead and apply that. So say I want to look at just posts. And I want to look at, you can filter whether you want Facebook or Instagram, but I'm going to leave everything together. I want to see everything and how everything is performing. So I'm going to check the reach. So if you click on the reach, it'll put it from largest to smallest. And so right now it's just sorting it. But I kind of like looking at it like this because it basically ranks your content in a list format. And so for this particular one, I'm looking at the reach, and this is how many people were exposed to your post. And so the post that had the most reach for us was it was a security related emergency update, which makes sense, and that's great. That means a lot of people saw this important information. The second post that had the most reach was a video from commencement. And then we have a football post. So again, this just ranks it in, best to, I guess, worst. And that's kind of how I like to see it because I want to understand, okay, which ones were my top 3 posts? Which ones were my top 5 posts? And really looking at those and asking, why did they do well? What made them interesting? Why did people react with that? And answering those questions to yourself and saying, okay, let's do more of that type of content because that's what's performing well. So again, you could sort it by reach. You could sort it by interactions. Again, these are the likes, the comments, the shares, um, the interactions with your content. And so you can sort it again, and usually it'll be similar, um, but maybe in a slightly different order. And so again, this is that commencement post. But what I do see is all of these posts are Instagram. It looks like we're getting the most interactions on Instagram versus Facebook. And you can tell because of the little icon right there. So the majority of our most interacted posts were from Instagram. Um, and so again, this is just another way to look at your content. You can even export the data and it'll export it in a CSV file. And you can use that file for reports, you can create charts, you can create whatever other presentations that you want with this information. But I also think that's a very beneficial tool. And so again, right now we're looking at everything for both Facebook and Instagram, but you could also just isolate one platform or the other if you wanted to. And then you can even click on the post itself and it'll give you a deep dive into the post itself. So again, if this was our most interacted with post, this tells you, okay, this is our best numbers. And then you can look at the one that performed the least, and these are your worst numbers. what are those posts that fall in the middle, and let's aim for somewhere in that middle point to be our constant, our regular performing numbers. Um, and it'll tell you who interacted with it or who it reached. It'll tell you what kind of interactions were taken. I believe it even tells you whether the content was from your followers or from non-followers. So a lot of good information that you could get lost in. But again, I think keep it simple. What were my best posts and why did they do well? How can we do more of that? And just get into a routine of looking at this information, I would say at least once a month. We like to do this at the beginning of every month and we look at, okay, how did everything do? How did we perform the month prior? And just make notes. Okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. I will say that if you are not very active right now, give yourself maybe 3 or 4 months to really get into a consistent rhythm of posting, to let the page kind of settle, to get your audience familiar with who you are. And then those numbers will start to be a little bit more accurate. But if you're not very active right now, the numbers may not be as accurate either. Doesn't mean you shouldn't monitor, but you may get more accurate as you get more consistent, is my advice. So I know we covered a lot. We covered the homepage, which is again just kind of like a bird's eye view of everything. We covered messages, saved replies, automations. We talked about how to schedule content, how to look at your calendar with the planner, and then we even talked about analytics. So I don't know if there's any questions about analytics, what some of the numbers mean, how you can use that. I know it can feel like a lot, but I promise you, once you throw yourself in here, just take baby steps, get familiar, um, commit to reviewing the analytics at least once a month. And if you need help walking through it, we're here to help you. But let me know if there's any questions up to this point. I skipped over Ads Manager simply because that's a whole other presentation. It requires a budget, it requires a different strategy, a different approach. But if that's something that you're interested in, we're also happy to have that conversation with you. But if there's no questions, I'm just gonna skim through the remainder of the slides. We won't go too far in depth with them because we kind of already covered it all. But this slide deck will just be kind of maybe a refresher. As you walk through the Meta Business Suite, you can have this presentation and just follow along and making sure that you are like on the right track or checking off the right things. So like I mentioned, these are just some tips. You want to stay responsive, you want to stay organized. So check that inbox daily, have it open to the best of your ability. Take a look at that response rate and take advantage of the save responses and automations. That way you're not leaving people in the dark and they feel like they're not being seen or being heard. We talked about automated messages. I'll also provide this link. Let me put it in the chat. This is, again, a step-by-step on how to set up the automations. We went over it obviously in this training, but if you want a written format, I'll put the link there. That way you can see how to set it up. Tips for the automated message is including additional contact info, hours, maybe some key resources or offices that you need to connect your users with. And then just review those automations on a regular basis, making sure that the information is still accurate, making sure that it's still relevant, and nothing has changed from the information you're putting out there. For content scheduling, just some tips would be to use that calendar view to prevent overlap. You may want to dedicate maybe 1 day a week to sit down and work on your content, upload all at once or schedule all at once. That way you don't have to be touching it day to day. It's all scheduled in advance. You want to mix up the formats, like I mentioned, take advantage of those Instagram stories, use that space for really promoting and really going heavy with your flyers and your call to actions. Um, it's also good to leave some days open. That way, if something spontaneous pops up, you're able to slide it in there. And then you can save your content as drafts. That way, if somebody else needs to review it, it's there as a draft. Or if you need to review it, say a student left it as a draft, you can review it and schedule it once it's ready to go. One other piece of advice that I don't have here is when scheduling content, while yes, it is a blessing, um, be mindful of perhaps, sometimes emergencies happen or, you know, political or worldly events happen that kind of may not align with the post that you have scheduled at the time, or the tone of your post may be very happy-go-lucky because, everything was okay, but maybe there was like a national crisis or something that's going on. And so just whenever things like that happen, just be mindful. Let me go check what do we have coming. Just take it down or put it as a draft. It doesn't happen often, but just always keep in mind that things change in the world all the time. And so if your content isn't aligned with that, it could be received a little bit negatively. We talked about the different analytics. So these are some of the ones that you may want to keep track of: growth, your reach and impressions, which was views, engagement rate, and then there are video views specific to video content, and just taking a look at your top content, the way we ranked it in the content section. And so here are some example goals: increase Instagram followers by 10% this semester, maintain 5% engagement rate, or grow Reels views by 10% month over month. These are just examples. I think it's, again, what is your baseline and how much do you want to grow? Like I said, review this on a monthly basis, adjust your content themes and posting frequency, use your top performing content as templates. And of course, like we talked about last week, ask your students or ask your audience for feedback and test new formats. The more you try new things, the more you're going to figure out what works and what doesn't. But if you keep it the same all the time, your audience may start to lose interest if you're not mixing it up. And then the last thing I'll say, while Meta Business Suite is wonderful, it's great, it's an amazing platform, amazing tool. There may be some case scenarios where you want to use the native apps like Facebook and Instagram separately. And so some of those situations would be selecting trending audios when you're uploading Instagram Reels. If you're at an event and you want to post Instagram stories in real time, Instagram, Facebook stories, it may be easier to do it through the native app. It also has more features like polls and stickers, link stickers, and things of that nature that might be a little bit easier to do through the native app. And the native apps also offer real-time analytics. So does Meta Business Suite, but if you want to just click on the post and see how it's doing in real time, um, you can see it in the app, and sometimes the numbers are just a little bit different, or they're displayed a little bit differently. So if you're just hungry to look at numbers like I am sometimes, I always want to see, like, okay, how does it look on this app versus Meta Business Suite? Cover images for videos. Sometimes you can be a little bit more crafty and a little bit more precise with the positioning when you do it through the native app. But again, you have that ability through Meta Business Suite as well. It's just, again, the native app, you might be able to be a little more precise. And then I believe there are some limitations in collaborative posts through Meta Business Suite. When scheduling in advance, you'll be able to collaborate on Meta Business Suite and publish, but for whatever reason, I think you can't schedule it in advance. So again, these are just minor things that there are workarounds for them. But there may be some times when you prefer just to use Instagram or Facebook natively. And lastly, I think this is just a summary of all the tips that we went over. But that is Meta Business Suite, crash course of Meta Business Suite. Um, so if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourselves and just let me know if you want me to go back to any of the other slides. But that was a crash course of Meta Business Suite. Okay.
Kara,
Yes,
oh,
go ahead.
just really quick, under the content, I just want to be sure I understood you correctly. When
Yes.
you publish to both of them, like the Instagram and the Facebook, and then that additional one that
The-
has the student group, or if you want
Mhm.
to add other groups, that means it also comes out on their Facebook page? Or how does that work? Just so I
So
can understand it correctly.
groups are kind of like private communities.
Okay.
And so it will go into a private group that
Oh,
right
okay.
now, so yeah, that if you're a part of any groups,
Mm-hmm.
it will populate there.
Okay.
So if you're, first of all, your department would have to be a part of the group. You can request to be a part of the group, the student
Okay.
group.
Okay.
I believe UTRGV PD is in the student group.
Yes.
So you guys, I think, have already gone in there and posted directly into the group, which is amazing.
Okay.
But using Meta Business Suite, you can just tick that box, and it'll
Okay.
automatically go into the group. So it saves you that extra step of having to go into the group and post it in the group. So again, it'll go on your Facebook page if you want
Right.
it to. It'll
Yes.
go on your Instagram page if you want it to. And
Yes.
then if you select the group, it'll also go into that group if you want it to. So you
Okay.
can select all that apply to you, or maybe you don't want it to go in the
Mm-hmm.
group, doesn't have to go in the group. But you do have that option to include it.
Okay. I just wanted to understand that part. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, yes,
It
no
was great.
problem.
Like always, y'all are amazing. Thank you so much for your all's help.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I'll go ahead and end the training. I will be sending the presentation slides, and there will be a recording available as well. So I thank you guys for being here. Next week there will be another training, and that one will be presented by Christopher Gabello, who's our digital engagement coordinator, and he will be talking about tips and tricks for content on the go. So we look forward to seeing you next week, and then our final presentation will be with Alex Garrido, and he's going to be talking about how to incorporate AI tools into your social media strategy. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We're here to help you guys. And I look forward to seeing what you guys do this upcoming school year with your social media pages. Thank you guys. Have a good one.